Welcome back to the Builders Bench. I'm Craig Larkins, and this is the final episode of 2025, so it's fitting that we have a regular on the podcast today. Joining me on the bench is Sajjid Lakhani, Director at Impact Public Affairs. Welcome to the final episode.
Thanks for having me, Craig. It's been it's been a good fall.
You know, it's been an interesting year. There's been lots of topics generated out of Ottawa. There's been lots of topics generated out of Victoria as well. So I wanted to dive in with a quick little poem that I wrote
All right.
about the past year in politics. So get ready for this. 'Twas the year Ottawa blinked and the ground rules all changed. Trudeau stepped down and the landscape rearranged. A federal election, big promises flew. Build faster, they said, though the how was still due. New nation building offices promised some speed, cut the red tape, deliver what we need. MPs crossed floors, alliances bent. A reminder, advocacy must stay persistent. The infrastructure assessment finally spoke. Builders said, we told you, data in hand, now prove you can act across the land. Then, Trump and his tariffs rattled the chain. As uncertainty reigned, global politics hit close to the site. Builders adjusted, as always, overnight. Now, 2026 waits, and here's the twist. It's a municipal election year, can't afford to miss. Permits and procurement hit center stage, where projects move or get stuck on the page. So here's the wrap from the Builders Bench view. 2025 shook things up. 2026 has to build through. It's a good summary.
If, for the viewers at home, this guy definitely goes to weekly slam poetry with us. That's a great summary.
All the jokes aside, let's do a recap. I mean, I feel like it was a very politically charged year. A lot of people are saying, and a lot of it, the focus being on construction, a lot of new nation building offices open. So what is your take on the past year? What are the biggest kind of highlights from it and lows, I guess you could say, and a kind of a quick wrap for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for the industry, for the viewers, this can be a better year in, having our industry and issues front and center. As you mentioned, from nation building being an official term in the campaign platform and, used regularly by the Prime Minister and in government. It just shows that this government and, the overall theme of Canadian politics has shifted from what we saw in the last 10 years on more of a social development front to more of a, brass tacks, construction, housing, building, infrastructure front. A lot to do, of course, with the tensions with our southern neighbor, but it was a wake-up call that we need to reinforce our industries and be involved across multiple fronts, whether it's through housing, infrastructure, defense. Overall, good year. Just with a lot of, political instability. However, with instability comes opportunities.
And a lot of people kind of on the outside looking in. So a lot of promises were made, a lot of promises in regards to skilled trades investment, apprenticeship investments, build, baby, build, the nation building offices. When do we actually start to see some action? Like, there's no start dates given for a lot of these promises. So when is it typically, the rubber hit the road, as I like to say?
Yeah, absolutely. The next 4 years are going to be telling. It's not ironic that usually syncs up with how long a government stays in power. However, the reality is governments tend to only think in 4-year increments. So we have to understand that we have to keep them accountable on that front, because while some projects have start dates that are 5-10 years from now, things can change, whether that is the same government power or transition government. So in terms of members, Canadians representing construction companies, it's really going to be up to us as industry representatives, but also alongside with them to keep their members of parliament, keep their members of the Legislative Assembly and municipal leaders accountable, and really highlight that construction and in local construction leaders and companies are going to be the ones that take us on to the next frontier of our economy.
And outside of all of that, the big bonus and the positive of all this is the focus has remained on construction and who really contributes to the built environment. So it's good to see, good to see heading into 2026. So I did want to touch on this because right now we do have a minority federal government.
Absolutely.
And as I just mentioned in my little poem there, lots of MPs, or a few I should say, have crossed the floor. What's your take on that? Is there the possibility we could be seeing a majority Liberal government in 2026?
Yeah, this is not new in Canadian politics. It is inherent to the Westminster parliamentary system. It does happen in the UK. It's happened here in Canada. Liberal MPs in 2018 crossed the floor of the Conservatives. It happened during the Harper years as well. So it's not new to politics. But what will be new is forming a potential majority from floor crossers. And, this perhaps signals in the Conservative caucus that there is some concerns of leadership, and perhaps MP Michael Ma felt that his business background and his ideals of pragmatism align more with the Prime Minister than Mr. Polyev. Based on recent comments by Minister Hodgson, who was seen as the architect of Mr. Ma's crossing. He says he's receiving a lot of inquiries, so perhaps we can see a couple more floor crossings in the new year, which will give the Prime Minister a majority and really a lot of power to fulfill his mandate, and perhaps some questions within the Conservative base and the caucus on the future of Mr. Polyev.
It sometimes feels like we're watching a reality show when it comes to the current state of governments in general. And, BC is no stranger to our own fair share. Mr. Rustad, the leader of the Conservatives, stepped down, resigned, whatever the term is. But are we even hearing talk of EB even throwing out the possibility of a spring election? And I mean, there's lots of chatter in that world too.
Yeah, there's some chatter. The reality is not many political parties have coffers to back this up. One issue that the BC Conservatives are facing is bringing back those donors that felt they were disenfranchised by Rustad's actions and the party at large. So for the BC Conservatives to do well, they're going to have to, reaffirm the donor support for their caucus and ensure that they can rebuild the relationships that are fractured under Rustad's tenure. For Premier Eby, he's still facing challenges. We still have a ballooning deficit, healthcare issues, infrastructure projects that are delayed. Him and the Prime Minister don't see eye to eye on certain issues when you talk pipeline. So it's not ideal for either of them to go to an election early spring. However, the reality is the BC Conservatives are going to have a leadership race, and they're going to have to ensure that whoever becomes the leader is a better caucus manager than the previous leader. Politics and sport are no different. You want to play for a team captain that has your back and also understands, the overarching environment.
So what you're saying is 2026 will be just as action-packed as 2025, if not more?
Yeah, we'll still be in business, me and you, that's for sure, Craig.
We love our jobs, too. So our friends at CCCA, the president, Raj Gilbert, did release the top trends for Canada's construction industry in partnership with On-Site Magazine. So just quick plug for them. So I do have the list in front of me. I wanted to quickly go through it with you and get your opinion on all of them. Number one on the list is resilient infrastructure and supply chain. Number two, Canada-U.S. trade negotiations. Number three, we have labor shortages requiring bold government action. Number four, construction excellence and professional development. Number five, housing acceleration and enabling infrastructure. Number six, Federal Projects Office Impact, the MPO. Number seven, innovation and construction technologies. Number eight, the green imperative and sustainability baseline. Number nine, data-driven decision-making relating to AI as well. And number 10, public procurement overhaul. So out of, I guess, the top 10, what stands out to most to you, Sajjid?
Yeah, absolutely. What stands out most to me is the CUSMA negotiations, diversifying our supply chains, and of course, encouraging young Canadians to be a part of the construction industry and alleviate labor shortages. The reality is there's all eyes on CUSMA this spring, because the reality is this will shape our relationship with the United States and Mexico for generations to come, and will really impact our industries, not just construction, but goods and manufacturing across the board. So we're going to have to ensure that the federal government hears the voice of the construction industry and its members and really takes into consideration the challenges we're facing. And in terms of building resilient supply chains, another COVID could happen still. Who knows, right? Or other global instability issues, whether that is conflicts around the world or specifically in the Middle East or Europe, that could affect our supply chains and our ability to deliver major projects. We saw in the budget that there is a pivot to, building stronger relationships, albeit some struggles with partners like India and China. So we're going to have to ensure and realize that, if we only worked with countries like-minded social values as us, there'd be very, very few countries to work with. So we're going to have to look at partners to diversify our procurement and supply chains.
The other thing, too, I mean, we were just saying, I think it was last month, the increase in cost to already build is up by 4%. That has the ripple effects, those negotiations.
Yeah, absolutely. And, last but not least, we have to encourage young Canadians to be a part of this industry and alleviate our labor shortages. Immigration is quite a contentious issue right now. I don't see that being the root solution. It will have to be a homegrown solution of encouraging our next generation and be a part of this industry. And frankly, from what I see in terms of, events like you hosted with some young high school students across the lower mainland, there is that excitement. And we just have to make sure that it's in a welcome environment and supportive environment for them to be future trades leaders.
And that's the goal heading into 2026 is going to kind of continue to build that pipeline here at the VRCA. So several events are planned. So let's switch gears and jump right into it. We went through a federal election. Let's rewind. We went through a provincial election. Then we went through a federal election. Now in BC particularly, we're heading into a municipal election year. So, all these promises, these billions of dollars in infrastructure investment and housing and such, this is where we start to, again, see the rubber hit the road and where that money gets spent. But what are if we say the top three kind of issues that if we're heading into a municipal election that people should be paying attention to?
Development cost charges is a major issue, if not the most important issue. Leading into this on our industry. The reality is it's costing more to build each year. And frankly, that shouldn't be the case. Being born and raised in Metro Vancouver, I want to see my community, and I'm sure many of the members and Metro Vancouvers at large, be a bit more affordable and, build the housing that we need, whether that's rental or market share or you name it. So that's going to be a major election topic that we should continue pursuing is how do we work together, whether that's municipal government alongside the provincial and federal, to lower those development cost charges, because the reality is that's one of the root issues of our expensive market. Another one is permitting delays. They go hand in hand. We have to lower the costs and we have to ensure that we remove the red tape around all these delays with permitting. We have to build, and we cannot afford to wait any longer than we are, especially when we're continuing to host major events in this country and in this city. We should have much more development leading up to the FIFA World Cup, so we can host this many international visitors. But not just for them, it's for us, and we have to ensure that these issues are addressed.
Yeah, there's one definitely or two topics that, when speaking with VRCA members is it's the red tape. Everyone's wanting to build and putting forth projects and bids and such, but there's so much rate because, like you said, there's 21 municipalities and everyone operates differently. Permitting and then also public procurement. It was number 10 on the list, modernizing it. I have one more question. It's regard, background. We both have a background in politics and have worked on the municipal side as well. It's getting interesting already, particularly in certain municipalities. What's your take on what's happening now, and is this normal?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's abnormal. It seems a little sooner though than usual. And historically, municipal elections don't get this much coverage this early. However, it just shows how important the issues are right now and how much the public wants to see their municipal leaders take action, or are frustrated with current leaders not taking enough action. And two municipalities that really come to mind are Vancouver and Surrey. Surrey, one of the largest growing communities in the country, and major focus on development, and Vancouver just historically being slow to develop. And we need to ensure that both municipalities and the folks running for leadership there understand that we cannot afford to wait any longer, that we have to build, we have to remove red tape, and that for the future generations, we need those infrastructure projects, whether it's schools, hospitals, you name it. I know Surrey Memorial has been needing overhauls for the last 2 decades, so perhaps that can be a major election platform issue.
Well, we are excited for 2026. We're going to hit the ground running. We'll be launching a Construction for Lower Mainland campaign that will be your one-stop shop for anything municipal election related that relates to industry. We'll be having interviews with candidates, all that information that you need to make your vote when heading to the polls in the fall. So I'm very excited for that. More to come as we head into 2026. Any final remarks, Sajjid?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and, continue to follow us going into the spring, and we're going to have a lot more political and industry updates for you, so thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and you can find past episodes of The Builder's Bench on VRCA's website. You can watch it on YouTube as well. Listen, and don't forget to invite your friends and colleagues to take a seat on the bench with us. I'm Craig Larkins. Thank you, Sajjid, for joining us.